or listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio on the International Community Radio Network. Join UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio on the second Saturday of every month for our live International Radio Marathon. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why.
BigNews.net. Big news. BigNews.net. Big news.
I feel the dread. Unity means a solidarity. Yeah. United we stand, and divided
This is United We Strike Radio on the International Community Radio Network. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. UnitedWeStrike.com
the
Radio.
sweetest honey from the honeybee. Unity, unity, please don't desert me. We need your sweetness like a comb of the honeybee. Unity, unity, please don't desert me. We need your sweetness.
We will be live in just a minute and a half, so be patient. We are on the United We Strike Radio Marathon.
You're listening to UnitedWeStrike.com Radio on the International Community Radio Network.
Yeah, hi, this is Detlev of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV on our United We Strike Radio Marathon, May 11th, 2013. Remember, every second Saturday, our show, radio show of United We Strike is taking place around the world. So we are having great guests today and wonderful hosts, obviously. And now this part of the show is also very important because we are talking about all the things which make us suffer so much. Some of the people know what's happening, some of the people don't. So the topic of today's part, of my part here, during the United We Strike Radio Marathon is electronic terrorism and poison from the sky. Yeah, and we have great guests with us here in the next couple of hours, and we are welcoming, obviously, all these guests. But before we start, let me make a few announcements. First of all, we do thank all musicians and artists who are sending us their music for usage in our radio stations worldwide. And if you want to send us your music, why don't you take your email and send us radio@wakenews.net your MP3, and we will get in contact with you, right? Okay, that's the first thing. And we listen to United We Strike Radio Marathon introduction here. And we had Unity from Unity Pacific, a great reggae piece. All right. So you can follow actually our conversation not only by listening to our players, which are to be found on our UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio website. And you will find the link on top of the website with UWS Radio and chat. And there's a separate chat room for UNITEDWESTRIKE.com, which you can use. And if you are still listening from our first couple of hours in German, on the website wakenews.net, Wake News Radio, you find two chat rooms which you also can use. United We Strike chat room, the left one, and Wake News Radio chat. And you can also send me an email during the show, posing questions, asking things, or comment on our guests by using radio@wakenews.net. All right, so we are in midst of our second part of the United We Strike Radio Marathon, and we are welcoming back here Werner Altnickel, who's been our guest in the first couple of hours in German. Werner, are you in?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And we do have the wonderful Melanie Vritschan from ICAACT and UCACH, right? Is she there, Melanie?
Yeah, here. Hello, Detlev.
Yeah, okay. And we do have Peter Vereecke from Belgium here. I kindly ask you three to quickly introduce yourselves, and then I think we get in the discussion with Peter first, and then with Peter and Werner, and so we are basically concentrating on poison from the air in the first hour. Okay, so maybe we give Melanie Vritschan the first the first chance. Melanie, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, Detlev. So my name is Melanie Vritschan. I am of German origin, and I'm living in Brussels for 20 years now. And what brings me to this group is that 5 years ago, I was victimized with something we're going to discuss later, with a new technology, a nanotechnology, and this also brought me then to being a member of the two organizations you just mentioned, ICAACT, International Center Against Abuse of Cover Technologies, and the new organization we have just founded now, the European Coalition Against Cover Harassment.
Yes, and it's very important also to mention that we are planning to have your two organizations present always the second part of our United We Strike Radio Marathons.
Yes.
And this is the first time we are doing this, so please be prepared for the next time in June to learn more what's happening on your side. Okay, thank you, Melanie, and maybe Werner Altnickel, maybe you can talk to our English-speaking guests now again and quickly introduce with a few words what you are doing. Also Werner, so ein paar kurze Stichpunkte zu dir auf Englisch.
Yes, I'm 63 years old and I'm working on photovoltaics since 1987, and I'm a master of radio and TV techniques. I was an activist in the Greenpeace organization, and I'm aware of Chemtrails, HAARP and so on since 2003. And then I started to do something against it. I was thrown out from the Greenpeace organization in the year 2005. Yes, and I was also at the conference at the European Parliament.
Yeah, which is important because he will give us a quick overview about what happened in April in this very important European conference in the European Parliament about geoengineering. and he was representing SKYGUARDS, which is a group which is focusing worldwide also on those issues. Okay, thank you, Werner. And now we hand over to Peter Vereecke, also from Belgium. Peter, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm the only not the German in the company. So when I look at my identity card, I always I'm scared to read. I'm 57 years old, but that's just a figure. So I had a very normal life until the year 2000. I had a wife, I had kids. I started as a teacher and then took over the insurance business of my father. I became engaged in the local community, and I was member of the community council for more than 20 years, and I was also mayor of my community. So then around the year 2000, questions came to my mind, and I started to look for the answers. I did a lot of studying, reading books and going to lectures to come to the conclusion that the Third World War is going on. So there is really an elite of some families whose aim is to get all the power, all the control, all the richness of this world. So we have to defend ourselves. And I started with a consciousness movement. I started a civil movement, and I became very active. I stopped all I was engaged in to be a full-time activist and to raise awareness. And the first thing that really made me very mad was when I came to the conclusion what was happening in our sky, in our atmosphere. So I did everything I could do. I went to the police department, I think about 100 times. I let down also a complaint to the Justice Department with the civil movement, which is called the Belfort-Group. I organized the first international Chemtrail symposium in the year 2009. And at this point, I think the phenomenon is known, but is not taken serious, not by any politician, journalist, scientist, civil servant. So because it is so incredible, it is so hard to believe that such a thing, such a massive structural attack on everything that is living on this planet is really going on. It surpasses the what we can take for reality. It's almost unbelievable. So that's how I got to know Werner Altnickel, whom I respect very much, and also Melanie, which gave me the perspective that they were doing incredible experiments on individuals and also on the collective humankind. So I'm referring to the mind control business, which is going on ever since the Nazi regime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
okay.
am. Yeah. Okay. So to conclude, I am a totally different person, and my life has changed with 180 degrees. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think what you just mentioned, I mean, in terms of age, I mean, this is not a negative point. This is, you've gathered a lot of experience and wisdom. This is also very important for the younger people to learn from your wisdom and your experience. And that's why we are here on our radio show in order to present this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. And also the experience which you had, after you woke up, after you became conscious. I mean, this is the same experience for all of us, I guess. Only few people who are awoken since, they are born.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Peter, for your insight. And the Belfort-Group in Belgium is well known. So
thank you,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to have you here in this show, in my part, which I'm producing here out of Switzerland, by the way.
Okay.
Just for the international audience to know. Yeah. We will have, by the way, several time zone events today during our radio marathon. So after I'm finished here with my part of producing, we will switch over to Ireland when the next part of the show is taking place. And we will also then afterwards go to the United States because, in terms of time zones, it's obvious people are then a little tired over here, so other people have to take over. So that's how it should work. We should work internationally all together in order to, tackle the issues. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy Werner, so, maybe you can start your subject, which I called sort of poison from the air, meant our chemtrails and so forth. And we had the first couple of hours in German already, and, maybe you get into the discussion. Have you been, Peter, to the European meeting as well as Werner has?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
I was very happy because I have to be honest. After let's say 5 to 6 years of fighting almost every day, and with the poor results, I became a little bit disillusioned. And so this new initiative to unite all the forces in Europe. And the new people with different and fresh approaches gave me, let's say, new fuel. So I welcomed this initiative of SKYGUARDS very much, and I must congratulate Josefina and all the people who made this possible to get a floor in the European Parliament, because this is really exceptional. As I see it, the European Union is really a monster, which is doing everything that is not in favor of the 500 million people. So, nevertheless, they achieved to get us a conference and to get the attention of some politicians, especially of the Green Party. Although many remain skeptic, but this was great, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Maybe Werner, you can raise an issue which you can discuss from the conference.
Yes, I will try. On the 8th.
Well, I can help if you need me. So yes. Just ask me if you're missing words or something.
Okay. On the 8th and the 9th of April 2013, the SKYGUARDS conference at the European Parliament takes place. Tatjana Zdechová from the Greens of the European Party makes it possible to invite 48 people from about 16 nations to speak about geoengineering and climate engineering and to show the film Why in the World Are You Spraying? Michael Murphy was also there and spoke about his film. Werner Schulz from the German Greens said that the geoengineering things in the air are taking place. That was astonishing. He also said that the military is also interested in that. This part is, you can look at the fourth part of the whole conference, which is shown at my channel on www.chemtrail.de and then on the YouTube channel following. The Greens and the other political parties in Germany say that chemtrails are conspiracy theory. I think we can work with the words from Werner.
Yeah. Well, I think it was an inroad actually into this conspiracy thing, because it's the first time a political party member actually revealed that it is not a conspiracy, that it is taking place, and it's being used also by military. So it's out in the public, really, isn't it? What's your point of view, Peter, and maybe Melanie wants to add?
Well, I am a conspiracy thinker. I came to the conclusion that the things in the world and the direction our world is heading in is not the result of organic and spontaneous actions. It is really planned. Everything that is happening is being discussed and being decided behind the curtains and on the highest level by people we do know, but we don't see them. So every crisis we are facing, every crisis is carefully planned, and it all makes a plan really to get the power into the hands of the very, very few. So a conspiracy thinker is one who really connects the dots, who's making who understands really what is happening, and is not only hypnotized by what the media are telling us. So but as I said before, it is a truth that is so huge and so incredible and so malicious, so diabolical, that it is almost important for people who are still in the matrix and who are still having faith in the government and in the military and in the media. It is almost impossible to believe that such thing is happening. And it's like the Chinese say, when you want to hide something, do it in the street. Then no one will ever suspect that you are hiding something, because you're doing it in plain sight. And of course, I agree with Werner that it's a kind of a stigma that is put on what we are building with so much evidence. It's a stigma. It's a conspiracy theory. Oh, it's just water vapor. There's nothing to worry about. There is air. There are planes. So there are these trails. That's normal, people say, but that's not normal at all, because anyone who observes what's happening in the sky comes to the conclusion that there are two kinds of days. You have a spraying day and you have a normal day. And on a spraying day, you see tens and tens of airplanes with these trails that remain for hours and hours. And this is not natural at all. There is not one meteorologist or climatologist or weather forecaster who can give a decent explanation for this. So we are being spread like insects on the crop.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's the elephant in the room,
right?
I interviewed Ted Gunderson on this issue, the former FBI guy who was murdered or was poisoned, as they say, and he was also.
Is that Gunderson dead?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he died. I think that was last year.
Okay.
So I mean, they murdered him because he spoke of internals, and he was too dangerous for the system, because he was actually revealing also, details on where the tankers are coming from, at least from the U.S. side and so forth.
Yeah.
And Melanie just wrote here in our chat box, yes, he was poisoned. It has been proven. Melanie, why don't you jump in and tell us about it?
Yeah, well, I just saw an interview with his private personal physician, I think, who was also his friend, and who explained that there were, really proof that there was, I think it was arsenic poisoning. It is proven that he was poisoned, and that he was poisoned, as you say, Detlev, because he was revealing too much, and but concerning the conspiracy, what Peter said, I can't understand why. I mean, people just have to look up. I mean, if you look up and you see these long trails there that do not disappear, I mean, it's just not natural that people, that are still so,
Yeah, but Melanie, until 5 years ago, when you became a victim and you started to look into what was really happening, these chemtrails were there in the sky and you didn't notice them. And the same goes for me until 13 years ago when I was awakening. These chemtrails are already happening. And every time you point the attention of people to the phenomenon, they say, well, I don't see anything that is abnormal. That's normal, they think. So there has to be a certain change in consciousness before you can really get the attention of the people and make people realize what is happening. When there is no such shift in consciousness, it is almost impossible. Even if you build up a mountain as high as the Himalaya of evidence, they just don't see it. It's not on their radar. They think it's all normal, and they can't believe it.
Yeah, and plus, Werner told us in the first couple of hours in German that they are basically also spraying now technically different. So you don't really see the streaks and the pollution really in the air, but they're also using other techniques, so it makes it more invisible, and not using the older former polymer technique.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Werner? Is Werner in? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Some people at the geoengineering people are thinking of it. I can't see that it is still used.
Okay, so that was sort of an inside information which we're leaking. Okay, well, we will find out. I mean, we have to keep our eyes and ears open, right?
But I mean, if you look at the sky, they're like, what I've noticed, and if I remember how they were when I was little, they're all like kind of hazy now, and I noticed this. Okay, you will say, well, okay, we're here in Belgium, maybe that's, we very rarely have nice weather anyway, maybe that's normal. Well, I don't think it's normal, but for example, I've got family in the south of France. Since I'm little, we spent all the holidays there. So I spent quite some time there. And my father now lives there also, since he's retired. And I can tell you, I mean, there, in Nice, Côte d'Azur, the skies were absolutely beautiful, really, really dark blue. This is why it's called Côte d'Azur, because it has this wonderful, they have these wonderful skies. And the recent years, they just don't have them anymore. So, I mean, if you don't realize that here in our area, okay, maybe, what, you could still say, okay, anyway, we have often hazy weather or whatever, but there it's really blatant that, the skies are becoming like here, like hazy, like this, like some gray soup, and also the weather has changed.
Yeah,
so,
and
it very strongly.
It was the NASA itself that officially confirmed that the last 10 years the light of the sun has diminished by 20%. By 20%. So that means that everything that is alive and that is depending on this life from the sun to get all the energy and the information to grow and to flourish, that we are having 1/5 less sunlight warmed information from the sun. So everything is dying very slowly. And that is also one of the reasons why people are not alarmed, so to speak. It's happening very creepy. It's not a war with guns and so on. It's everyone, and when you look around, you see that, for instance, the mental health of people is going down rapidly, structurally, and dramatically. And that is because of less sunlight and also the aluminum in the spraying. That is affecting our nervous system. That is a physical, biological fact.
Yeah, I agree, and I listened to and watched a video from someone from the United States, Henning Kemner, who's actually I guess a Danish or Norwegian origin, and he is reporting because he's driving a lorry or a truck, right? And he's filming always, and he was showing during his driving the dying parts of forests or the dying trees along the road, right? So this is really alarming. And also, if when I look out here my window, usually the trees would be already full in their in their blossoming and so forth. And this is not the case. It's all behind. It's all behind, right? Is that correct, Peter?
That's very correct. I suggest that you look at films from, let's say, 20, 30 years ago, and then you give attention to nature and to the trees and the leaves and so on, and the difference is there to see. And I am also in contact with people who are taking care of trees and gardens and so on. And they confirm it that almost every tree here in Europe, and I fear that this is the case worldwide, that every tree is dying. And when they analyze the liquid within the trees and within the leaves, they find masses of aluminum, and this is also killing. In conjunction with all the radiation, because this is very important. It's of course the HAARP facilities all over the world who use chemtrailing, but also the mobile phone network and all the other devices that are functioning wireless. So this combination of the physical fact that there is aluminum in the air and so in the soil and the water and so on one side, and on the other side that there is so much unnatural radiation. This really undermines us and destabilizes us, because when you know that we are an organism of 70 trillion cells, and that every cell is a fine-tuned electromagnetical device, it's very obvious and easy to understand that we are being dumped down and destabilized by everything that is happening by chemtrailing and radiation.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible, and Werner also talked about this in the first couple of hours. Werner, you want to add something there from your point of view?
I will go away in a few minutes because
okay.
I will also add a little speech from Giulietto Chiesa at the conference, and he was a former parliamentarian of the EU Parliament, and he said that these things like 9/11 and geoengineering are dangerous for the politicians. He has tried to show the 9/11 truth film called Zero at the Parliament. Only 7 from the parliamentarians came. He has invited 800 of them, and he has also invited about 600 journalists, and no one came. Also 0. And that's it. Why so few parliamentarians wanted to go on this themes.
So it is dangerous for them to expose, their interest in this subject or their worriedness, really.
Yes, he said so. Yes.
This is a fact. We can. There is no real freedom of speech and of thinking. We all have to act conforming to the matrix, and everyone who is critical about 9/11, about vaccination, about chemtrailing, about the financial system and so on, he is no longer a part of the matrix. He is not functioning according to the rules, so he is marginalized. He is he gets the stigma of conspiracy thinker and so on. So that's what really happening. And okay, we have to face this. We have to see that this is a main obstacle for us. But I am hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is what is interesting for me. And Werner, are you? Tell me when you have to leave. And willst du noch was einspielen? You want to play a piece or from the conference?
No.
Okay. Just tell me when you have to go.
You can look. I will soon go in a few minutes, and you will see it. I say goodbye to you, and very good talks.
Yeah, thank you, Werner. And he's been very active here in the first couple of hours, so he's been on a long time already. So thank you very much, Werner. And we'll keep in contact. And he's got all the videos to look at on his channel. And this is you can find this under chemtrail.de. And there's a section for the YouTubes and the videos, and then you just click there, and then you can listen to the whole conference. Okay. So if you're interested, why don't you visit his page? Right. So thank you, Werner, and see you next time.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Okay, what I just was interesting and curious about, Peter, is, you've been active also in regional politics. I mean, you've been a mayor, even. What are the people thinking around you? I mean, that was at a time where you awoke already. You were awoken, or you were awake. Is that right?
No.
Okay.
I was active, let's say, until the year 2002, and then I had to leave my political engagement, my wife, my job, because I really couldn't function anymore. And I really had this sense of urgency of that something tragically and very dangerous is happening, and so few people notice it. So I got this sense of responsibility to be part of the movement to raise awareness. So what are people thinking of me? Well, I think they respect me and they like me, but they don't believe me. They think that I am somehow mentally not normal anymore. So in fact, I'm now facing a charge of the Minister of Health, who is accusing me of being mentally ill and a danger to society. So the thing came yesterday in court for the, I think, third or fourth time, simply because I distribute information about vaccination to make people think about what they are doing to their children. And if you know what a vaccine, and if you know what's in it, this is horror. This is madness. This is beyond belief what we are doing to kill our children. To kill our children. It is poison as much as what's happening in the atmosphere and the spraying thing. So, it's very curious to see the reaction of the government, of the politicians. When I speak to politicians I know or politicians I try to get their attention, they just turn their back and they give us a signal of being uncomfortable or annoyed or something like that. So I must say the last 5-6 years I never went to the voting hypocrisy because this has no sense. I can give no confidence, no trust for people who keep on ignoring what I'm trying to bring to their attention. And everything is always put in a respectful way and with a lot of evidence that can be checked. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Now that's revealing information. I didn't know that you were followed in Belgium. Well, I mean, they are watching us, and the only chance you have is to go public. And we've got some of those stories here in the Federal Republic of Germany. The famous Gustl Mollert chap who's been taken into custody, into a mental ill context, into in one of those institutions, and there's a lot of outrage now here. And they actually took him away because he was revealing all the corruption was taking place between politicians and banks and Swiss accounts and so forth. Yeah. So that is the usual technique is to basically tell you're mentally ill, and they try to get rid of you. But this is not so easy anymore. And you can tell the people, if they try, we will go public with this worldwide, and this will be exposed. So tell the Belgian people this, government.
Yeah, but of course you can go public and worldwide, but that will not imply the mainstream media, who are giving the information to 90-95% of the people. So this is a handicap. And to be honest, a journalist who has been in the business for about 30 years said to me, well, it's easier to find an albino in Africa than to find freedom of speech in journalism in Belgium.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It was the mass media and the matrix media, but we are growing, and this is also publicized in the internet. And this is, I don't know what the status is of people in Belgium, how far they are in terms of reaching a certain consciousness level. What is your impression in Belgium?
I think we are still, let's say, in the bushes. We are not. I don't know if you know the word le maquis. That means the bushes, and that refers to the resistance that was organized in France and also in Belgium from the bushes. People who hide and who then sabotaged and came into reaction to the occupier. So we are still a grassroots movement, and that is really what has to happen. It is the people themselves who have to stand up and to raise themselves and to come into a kind of reaction. We have to regain our identity and our dignity. They have taken that away from us. We have been dumped down unbelievably. We have been cheated, fooled, lied to, and so on, and so on, and so on. So we have to get this back and force our politicians, our journalists, our civil servants, all the environmental movements like Greenpeace, which is totally controlled by the powers that be. We have to force them to go into the direction we, the people, want them to go. And this is something that is happening. And of course, I and other people who are engaged are very how should I say, impatient. Impatient because we know it's high noon and it's urgent, and we want to see the change to happen as quickly as possible. But you can't change something that is going so bad for tens and hundreds of years within a couple of months, within a couple of years. It will have to take some time. So we are in the front of a very fundamental, swift and shift in the consciousness of humankind. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2013, we discussed this with Werner in the first couple of hours, is a turning point, and either we will be catched or caught,
yeah.
or we manage to defend ourselves, and you know. But I'm very curious also about the Belfort-Group. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Belfort-Group. We've got a few minutes left here before we go into a quick break on top of the hour.
Well, the Belfort-Group is not an organization as such. It's really a movement. I have, let's say, 3,000 email addresses, but behind these addresses there are several thousands of people who receive the information I'm spreading. And well, we've been active for about 4 or 5 years now, and we became rather known as a critical actor in the society of Belgium. So what drives us is the sense of freedom, of truth, and of health, because these are really three major human important things that are being threatened in several ways. So this is a movement that tries to multiply all the forces that are growing in the bushes, as I explained, very, how should I say it, not massively, but on a fundamental basis. And well, we organize all kinds of meetings, and we are successful, but so far we are not getting the attention of the politicians, the journalists, and so on. But it will happen in due time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole world can be awoken within a very short period of time.
No.
If our creation thinks it's the right time.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are depending sort of our programmer, if you want to. Yeah, I mean, I encourage you, and we also have donated, if you want to, or provide some room here for European roundtable discussion, which we are here in the midst, also in English, so we can, put in some information from Europe as well, because this is very important, so other people can listen to this as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going into a quick break. During this break, we will try to get our next guests in. So please stay tuned, and this is going to be very, very important, and I'm happy to have you here. And you're welcome also to stay on, Peter, for the next hour, please, as well as Melanie. And we're trying to get our other guests in there, and so just be a little patient. So we will listen to Steve Phillips' Bring Him Down, because that's something we need to do, I guess, during the break. And he's also supporting us with his music. Steve Phillips is from the Netherlands, actually. He's English origin, but he lives in Holland, in the Netherlands. Right. Okay, so stay tuned. This is Detlev of Wake News Radio and our United We Strike Radio Marathon on May 11th, 2013. We're entering the fourth hour now after this break. So stay tuned.
UWS Radio and the International Community Radio Network is a joint partnership in Internet Community Radio, working to give each country a voice on a united global platform.
Sometimes I think that the world's gone insane. Multinational money, power and pain. I wanna shout it from the rooftop, shout it all over town. Hit them where it hurts, bring them down.
You're listening to UnitedWeStrike.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. UnitedWeStrike.com radio.
Okay, this is Detlev here, Awake News Radio, Awake News TV on our United We Strike radio marathon on May 11th, 2013. And we are in the fourth hour of our today's radio marathon, and we will have an interesting program continuing, not only in this hour, but also following later on. And we will go around the world, really. And there are different time zones, so we will also pass on production, so we can all be fresh and, well operating around the world. Okay, if you're interested in the program, you can just look it up and visit our website, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. And you will find there on the header the UWS radio and chat button. If you click the UWS radio and chat button, you will get to our program, scroll down a little, and you can also use our chat facility there. Just log in. It's not very complicated. And if you want to know how to do it, there is a tutorial video which you can also have a look at. Right. Okay, so this section here is our round table discussion, and this is mainly also giving a platform to our to those initiatives like the ICAACT and EUCACH. And what this is all about, we will learn in just a minute. But we have given this hour the heading of electronic terrorism. And I quickly read this to you. Psychotronic weapons, mind control, those are the issues which are harassing us every day. People around the world are suffering greatly from covert operations by governments and corporate interests to experiment with our bodies, our will, our well-being, our awakening, because that's what they are afraid of. Because they want to rule the world, they want to establish their new world order with a one-world government, military, banking system, police state, tyranny, and so forth. And also from the skies, we're being poisoned with heavy metal nanoparticles, soil, nature, environment, water, everything is being polluted and destroyed in order to adjust us and our bodies to their will, turning us into zombie-like beings who are mind-controlled slaves serving the so-called elites by their plans. But we have to stand up against this, and we should not only speak out against and inform about brainwashed officials and fellow people, but also form an alliance to counteract. And this is why we have set up this show today with this important message to everybody to join in and not only listen, but also become active. And I'm very glad we had the opportunity in the first couple of hours to have a German broadcasting with Werner Altnickel, who is an activist and journalist here from the German-speaking area. And then we had in the third hour here, the first English-speaking hour, we had Melanie Vritschan and Peter Vereecke, who still are with us, and Werner Altnickel already had to leave, and maybe Peter Vereecke has also to leave during this hour. We'll see, and we will also add to the conversation Magnus Olsson, who's heading the UCACH organization. And Magnus, are you there?
Sorry, Detlev, it's Melanie here. Magnus just sent
Melanie.
It's mobile saying that he really has a lot of connection problems. So.
Okay, so Magnus is maybe having an issue here. Okay, so but we have Jesse available as well, or let's see whether I can add him. But nevertheless, maybe. Melanie and Peter, you are continuing, and during this phase, I'm trying to find Jesse.
Okay, no problem. So, hello everybody. My name is Melanie Vritschan. I'm of German origin. I live in Brussels for about 20 years. And what brings me to this group, which is the organizations that we're going to present today, the International Center Against Abuse of Covert Technology, and a new organization that we've just founded, here in Europe is the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment. And what these two organizations have in common is basically we want to raise awareness for people that are victimized with so-called covert technologies, remote influencing technologies, that commonly, via mind control and mind control technologies. And this is, my role here and why I'm here today. So, and I give it over to Peter.
Yes, Peter, you were focusing in the first hour in English on the chemtrail issue and the HAARP issue. But are you also familiar with the mind control? Yeah, of course you're familiar with that. But what is your point of view on those issues?
Well, to be honest, the mind control was something of a theoretical insight. I was aware that such a thing was happening, but it was only when Melanie contacted me that it became very concrete and that it became, so to speak, human. So via Melanie and the things we did together, I became aware that this is as much as an assault and an attack on humankind as the chemtrailing, and of course that there is a link between the chemtrailing and the mind control and the electronical harassment, because when you analyze what is inside people like Melanie and what is being spread, you find the same substances. So we are all potentially Melanie, and we are all potentially victim of what is being prepared to control us and to manipulate us. So this is really very heavy, and what is happening to Melanie is showing the risks and how serious this can be and will be, unless we bring this to the attention and we raise awareness.
I think this is very important what you said, because everybody can be a victim. But maybe we all are victims already.
Yeah.
There are people who are noticing it and physically really, or, by, feeling the harms made to the body. But, we are all victims, because that's in the eyes of the New World Order, the so-called elites. I call them dominant insane minority, really. The DIMS, that's the phrase I'm using. I didn't invent this phrase, by the way, but I took it over from somebody from the US. But anyways, I think this is the right expression. It's just only a few which are behind the whole thing. And if once we realize this, that this is maximum maybe 100,000 people who are involved in this, getting us enslaved, then we should all be awoken quickly, and we should awake quickly and say, well, we can end this immediately. Actually, if everybody would say, no, I'm not complying, the whole system would break apart. If we would, and this is something we are discussing in the United We Strike radio marathons and our initiative, don't buy, don't comply, ask why. So if everybody would just stop supporting the system would break apart in a very, very immediate term.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Absolutely right. So this is basically what has to happen. We have to stand up, turn our backs, and go in the other way. And this is what I'm on a personal level I'm now trying to do. Not only fighting the system, but also creating a new positive alternative. So we are now in the phase of building a home, which we call our home for the future, in which we will try to be as sustainable and ecological and self-supporting as possible. So, amongst others, trying to imply the new energy technology that is existing experimentally and not on a big scale, but it already exists. And try to show that it is possible to lead another life and to not and to not depend as much on society for electricity, for food, for your health care, and so on and so on.
Yeah, that's right. Now, just one more question concerning Belgium. I mean, Belgium is also a country where different languages are spoken. There's the Flemish and the French, the Belgian French. Now, there are certain... Sorry?
Also German, it's a small...
yeah, but only on the border, most possibly.
Yeah.
Now, is there a certain awakening difference between the different language areas? Or do you think the French are the same as the Flemish in terms of consciousness and awakening, or do you think there's a difference?
Well, to be honest, I am now living in the French-speaking part, and I am a Flemish from origin. I think there is no real big difference, although I think that the French culture is more critical than the Flemish one. But you can't say that there is a really major significant difference. No. It's the same. It's a minority. It's a minority. For instance, I'm now living here, and I have someone who has been a general in the army, and I'm trying to. He's a very friendly guy. I try to get his attention to the existence of chemtrails, and he says, no. Maybe they have been experimenting, but what you are trying to say, that's impossible. That cannot be true. So, and he's a very intelligent guy, but he has his blockades. Okay.
Yeah, but Melanie, that's what we discussed on Thursday. Also, Henning Witte from Sweden was mentioning this. This is those guys, even top military guys and top politicians and so forth. They're all mind controlled. They are sort of robots. They are acting like robots, so they cannot deviate from what they have been sort of implanted in terms of ideas and thoughts. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. Certainly people that have been in the military, also politicians, all politicians. I think even Henning mentioned, even the judges, all the people that are in the system that have higher positions or decision-making power, unfortunately. Also a large part of journalists. So when we usually complain that it's so difficult to get the mass media's attention, well, this is the reason. It's far more, in the society, than you would think. And I mean, these people, they might not even ever know it or notice it, the whole life. But, because,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there are different technologies, and there are passive technologies that you're just mind controlled or used when you have to take certain decisions, and otherwise, people appear to be completely normal, so to speak. But it is a huge issue, and these mind control experiments, as we discussed last time, they did start with Nazis in the concentration camps, but these experiments are very old. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it on Thursday, but this famous experiment that this psychiatrist Dr. Delgado did with this bull, that he implanted him an electrode and then could basically remote control the bull like a toy. that was proven possible. I think it was in 1964, right? So, I mean, we're now in 2013, so, you know, that gives you an idea on how advanced these technologies are.
Oh, absolutely. And maybe many people do have an implant, and they're not aware of it. You know,
No.
maybe that has been done during a, dentist operation or what have you. I mean, this is also possible, yeah?
Because we were just talking about vaccines. Peter talked about
Right.
about the dangers of vaccines to our kids, and it's a pity Jesse's not here. Maybe he will join us later, because as I said on Thursday, we noticed that many elderly ladies came up positive in the radio frequency scans that we did, in their right or left upper arm, and that's usually where you get your flu vaccine. So it's very easy to get shipped, and all you need is a needle, basically.
Yeah. Well, we just have to explain to our audience that we were not able to get Jesse Vritschan here into our conversation yet, and Magnus Olsen had a very bad internet connection to Sweden. I think he's from, or is that correct?
Yes, he's in Sweden.
Yeah, so that's maybe the Swedish government doesn't like what we do, huh?
Don't any government likes it, but
yeah, no government likes it. Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay, and Peter told us about the issues he had. With the government, they want to claim he's mentally ill just because he speaks out against vaccination, forced vaccination, basically, in his country. So this is alarming, and we have to expose this and have to be very, we have to go into the public and also talk about it. Now, let me try to get Karen in here. Karen Quinn-Tostado, she's basically from the United States. She's the basic founder of this United We Strike initiative. And if she's willing already, because it's pretty early over there, it's on the Pacific side of the U.S., and this is pretty early, yeah, over there. So she had the chance to possibly have a coffee already. So let's see whether she comes in. In the meantime, Peter, what are you planning in order to prevent that government is trying to put you away?
Oh, I am staying very calm. I decided to get some assistance of a lawyer, because if they want to force you to play their game, you have to know all their rules. I'm not so familiar with all these rules. So so far, I am not very worried, and I welcome this let's say this legal issue very much, because, as they say, when you come with a new truth, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they attack you. So I am now in the third phase, and the final phase is that they accept everything I try to bring to the attention as the new truth. So I'm very positive. Things are going very well.
Yes, one stage before you win, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we'll see. Have we been successful with Karen here? Karen, can you hear us?
Guten Tag.
Oh, you missed. You're on the wrong show. The first 2 hours in German have already passed away. Sort of. Okay, now Karen. No, she's multilingual. She can talk in French as well.
Oui.
Oui. Okay.
Not really. About the only thing I can do is I can talk and I can sing a bit in Spanish. Cuando calienta el sol aquí en la playa. See, it's got to be early over here. Sheesh.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. She used to be a professional singer, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't she lovely? Okay.
She is lovely. I like to hear her voice. I got acquainted and she sent me some links, and I really am very impressed. So I didn't know she was singing in Spanish, and maybe she's making love in French.
Okay, well then we have to. Well, I just get a hint here from the chat room.
Yeah.
That I should bring in a quick applause. So please stay tuned and listen to the applause. Just a sec.
Absolutely. We're all struggling to learn the language to get through to the rest of people we can, so we can build critical mass to get out of this critical mess, because it is so difficult to believe that we actually have fallen this far. And I've been listening since the beginning. I'm here when the show starts in English and for some of it in German, but it is so challenging. And I also want to say that we have a mutual admiration society here then, because Peter, I'm a great fan of your work, and Melanie as well, especially, Melanie, to be a targeted individual and to be able to still rise to the occasion of doing what you do in spite of being, your car was attacked. You weren't. And Peter, you've been attacked legally. When you step up, people are afraid. They just don't want to know the truth. And so we keep plugging along, and I'm very, very grateful that you're here today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe if you want to, Melanie, you can quickly say what happened after our Thursday radio show, which was in German.
Yes, indeed. So, I think that show must have had some effect because what happened is that the next day I wanted to go down and check my car, and it was smashed. And they left, on the driver's side, the left mirror was missing, but not as if somebody would drive by and, just accidentally took the mirror, because then you would have had the pieces lying there. No, it was let's say the mirror was half, broken in half, and but it was taken out completely, and there were no pieces lying, and there was a note with somebody who buys old cars saying, sell it. So, probably, this was one of the actions they usually do after I do radio shows, or that this gets public. That usually do these things to intimidate me, breaking into my home, destroying material, stealing my son's toys, destroying parts of my apartment, my clothes, and this time it was the car. But what I usually always say is that this is only material. Of course it's annoying, but it's only material, and that was for me another clear sign that at least our shows have some fact, and that people are waking up and they're very scared.
Yeah, they can fight us physically, but not spiritually. They are weaker than we are.
Yeah, and it's still very, a very coward thing to do. But I just think that won't stop me from speaking up and speaking out.
You're strong and courageous, and I applaud that. Now, can you share with us about the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment? How is that going?
Yes, well, it's going well. It's considering it's still that young, but we have had already some successes, I think. Well, first of all, ICAACT, the International Center Against Abuse of Colored Technologies, exists already for some time, of which I'm also part. And what we do in ICAACT, I'm still hoping that maybe Jesse will be able to join us later, but I'm not sure, is that we do radio frequency scans of people that think that they're victimized by a technology. And so we scan their bodies for radio frequency emissions. We had done that already, in the US and in some cities in Europe. And it became apparent that we need, let's say, a stronger organization, really European organization, to raise awareness for these crimes. And also what I personally really wanted to do is, Peter was saying it's the beast. But I mean, unfortunately, we have the EU, and we need to, lobby the European institutions. We need to reckon with these people. Unfortunately, they are the people in power. So we need to, if we want something to be done about these crimes, I think we need to, put it on the really EU level, in the scene, so to speak. So we decided some time ago, together with Dr. Henning Witte, that Detlev interviewed on Thursday, which is a German-Swedish lawyer, Magnus Olsen, who cannot be here for technical reasons, and also Dr. Rauni Kilde, who's a Finnish physician, knows a lot about mind control as well, and another member, Corinne Monumba, who's a Belgian head nurse, to found a European organization to raise awareness for these covered crimes, basically committed by this remote influence and technologies that are implanted into people without their consent or even knowledge, and lobby the EU institutions. So our success was there. Our first successes is that we succeeded to have one meeting with EU an MEP, a member of the European Parliament, who took the issue very seriously and then advised us to go further and to organize a presentation in front of the Committee for Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs, which is the respective committee that deals with these issues, because this is a domestic issue. It's basically domestic terrorism, electronic terrorism. And so we have entered a request there, and Henning and I alter at the moment to put a little bit of pressure on them to basically receive us. And if we succeed in this, then I see that as a major step forward, because then if you present in front of this committee, this issue cannot be ignored anymore. So that's what we're currently working on. I hope it will work. And another success that worked really well was in March. We spontaneously organized, there was a European Council meeting, and we spontaneously organized a demonstration. We had a big banner, to raise awareness for these mind control technologies and these crimes, and that went very well. We also did a video, and that went round the net. And we were planning to do this again now in a couple of days, on the 22nd of May, because there's another European Council meeting. So we're trying to really, shape people up and do all we can to raise awareness for these crimes.
Well, now, I had last night on my program, Karen's Corner, that if people want to listen to it, they can find it on the archives at wideawakenews.com. And I had Dr. Ilya Sandra Perlian-Jerry, and she has been talking about this for many years. She's a professor. She had access to the Vatican archives, which is pretty amazing. She has traveled and spoken all over the world. She spoke at the first Chemtrail conference down here in Los Angeles last year. And she has been calling for strikes for a number of years, as have I and Detlev and the people with us. And so we were talking about, well, what can we do? Because now I've met her and spoken to her quite a few times over the phone. And we came up with July 4th. Now, here in the United States, Adam Kokesh is urging people to walk and march in Washington, D.C. with their weapons on their backs, their rifles on their backs, just to make a show of, we can carry, this is our right. But the police chief has also said there are statutes against it. You'll be arrested. However, they are beating the drums to have a huge march. I understand the motives. I admire and respect all of that courage, but we would like to present a different perspective. And I hope that you will join us on this, Melanie and Peter, because we're not heard. But our idea is, what would happen if between now and the 4th of July, the people who want to do their partying and whatever, buy your supplies now. Try and shop as much as you can from local stores, not your big box stores. And over the 4th of July, you can go and march if that's what you want, but we'd like to caution you to think about the fact that when you leave your home, you leave it vulnerable. You do not know in this day and age what is going to happen or when you will be allowed to return, because SWAT teams are out there. You can bet that there will be provocateurs at this march. False flags are rampant, and they are just waiting for the excuse for FEMA camps. They've got the coffins. They don't want us here, and obviously by poisoning our very planet from the skies and the earth and the water, they're doing what they can to exterminate us, and it's a picture that not many people are strong enough to look at. If I did not believe I was spirit having a human experience, it would also be, I'd be totally crazy. I probably am anyway. But our suggestion is on July 4th to stay home and really enjoy the freedom with your family, because many of us do not get to enjoy our families. We're too busy living for their lives. So instead of sacrificing our lives, we're asking people to consider, instead of putting yourself in danger, instead of jeopardizing the future of your family because you don't know what will happen to you when you go there, why not think about protecting your family? Because your family and you should be the most important things in your world. And if all of us began to think that way and understood that if we are home protecting our families, living our lives, we don't have time for bureaucratic bullcrap. We don't have time for the lies. And if we could spend the one day, the 4th, with our family, then we can also step back and take 3 more days to seriously do some homework. And it's our hope that if and when enough people get it, that huge moment of, you know how we all felt when we first said, what are you telling me they're spraying from the skies? Or what did you just say about what happened at 9/11? If we can get people to honestly understand that the moment of shock and outrage passed years ago, but they're due for one themselves. And individually, when you get that, if you can stand back and look at what is happening, you will understand the bigger picture, and you will lose your fear of missing work, because nothing is more important than saving the planet for your children and our future.
Very true, Karen, and how it's being done. It has been, could be seen in Boston, which is a false flag activity, but basically the police and all the military style security forces which were rolling in, basically didn't care about any rights. They just went into your homes and didn't have any legal or lawful substance to do that, and just dragging you out and searching you and like cattle. Isn't that your impression as well, Karen?
Yes, it's my impression is that we don't have human rights, we have human wrongs. And we have to start thinking that we're earthlings, and stop dividing ourselves. We also have to recognize that profit is king. Imagine what would happen if we put out word, if enough people really got together and we put out the word, oh yes, we're all going to show up for this big march on Washington, D.C. And on the day of the march, none of us show up because we're home. And the only things that the cameras show are the government goons all standing around, just dressed up and ready to bang heads. And I say goons, and I don't mean that for all of them, because some of them have been so compartmentalized and lied to, they cannot resist an immoral order. But we've got to start finding our moral compass. And if we can show this huge beast for more of what it is, if there is no one there, if they have empty streets and empty banks, if they don't make any money over this long 4th of July weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if Wall Street doesn't see any money, if we start to understand that spirit of Occupy, which got people out into the streets, camping out, we don't need to do that. We can take it a different way. We can go home. We can protect our homes, our families, and then we can begin to rebuild locally. We know where the criminals are who live in our own neighborhoods. Instead of worrying about the big government, let's take care of it right at home. And if we can make this a worldwide idea, if we can start to shut down the purse, so these people who get up, and God bless their courage, but what happens? They're ignored, they're beaten, they're murdered. Look at these other parts of the world. Look at Egypt, look at Libya. Look at now we're ignoring what's happening in Syria. And every day we continue to live our lives as usual is another day people are killed on our dime. And another day that our world is closer to extinction because we have not stopped long enough to say, wait just a minute here. Who are you? Why are you destroying my planet? Why have you destroyed my children? Why do I not have access to healthy food, growing my own garden? It's time to stop this military industrial madness. And when enough of us do, we can say, I refuse to work until peace is declared and all troops are sent to their home countries to help rebuild and hold those accountable who brought us here. All central banking, all corporate personhood, all privately owned corporations are also disbanded and turned back over to the people. We wipe the slate and start over.
Well said. Yeah, Peter, what's your impression? Is this a viable option for us as well here in Europe? What Karen is telling us, to rather stay home and not go to the streets, and rather, boycott the system if you want to.
Well, I was thinking of the phrase, suppose they organized a war and nobody showed up. So yes. I think it's very creative, and I agree with her. I think we have to keep on exposing the truth, but not fighting the system as such so much, because the system is falling apart anyway. And as I said previously, we have to create our own new alternative, or to be ready when the whole thing starts coming down. and by like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, showing civil disobedience or lack of interest. 1 month ago, I sent two public letters. One was to the new elected Pope, to say, with all respect, or little respect, but I don't want to be part of the Catholic belief system, the Church and the Vatican thing. I'm just turning my back. I don't want to be considered as belonging to you. And also sent a public letter to our king, who is head of the Belgian state, to say, well, when I was born, something was created with my name, and that was in fact a kind of slave registration. And I took some legal steps to claim my name and to declare my sovereignty. So to say, well, I am no longer a member of the state. I am no longer a slave. I am an individual man of flesh and blood, and also a spiritual being. And I'm taking back my liberty, and I'm taking back my right. And I want to be treated in that way. So, like Karen said, these are all initiatives I welcome as part of the new paradigm and the new awareness of who we really are. And so I'm all in favor. And if there should be an election, I vote for Karen to be the president of New World Order.
If that happened, I would send everybody home and say, my only proclamation is that we each declare ownership of ourselves. We agree not to harm each other. And then we look at cooperation in order to create the kind of future that all of us can thrive in, eliminating the inequality and the senseless fighting amongst ourselves. Because, in my opinion, I'm reading a series called the Ringing Cedar series from Russia. And the question that a lot of us want to know is, okay, why are we here? What is God or whatever divine essence, Mother, Father, God, Krishna, Buddha, what do they want? What really do they want? And the answer that this book says is conjoint creation, bringing joy to all who contemplate it. And I think that that is probably the highest, best option that we could possibly have for living our lives. Conjoint creation, bringing joy to all who contemplate it, meaning that we can connect individually with that divine essence in order to bring to fruition whatever it is that makes our heart sing and share it with other people, as opposed to the world we have now, which is a nightmare illusion of poverty, war, hunger, and all these diseases and the destruction of Gaia, our Mother Earth. And as good stewards of the planet, we all could have jobs that were abundant, not a job for just over broke, but we could get into the joy of being when enough of us understand that our energy focused is what creates our reality, and to step back from what we have. So, Peter, I'm glad that you support this. I hope now that we have enough time to really make this one count, you know, to spread the word and say, just see what happens if you're free on the 4th of July and step back with your family to plan how you can survive the future. Research, because if and when you get outraged enough, we will never go back from this strike. We will only go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is very good to do, and also what you suggested here. This is great stuff, and we have this experience in the Federal Republic of Germany as well, because everybody knows the Federal Republic of Germany is not a sovereign state. It is a protectorate, from the Allied forces. After the war, there's no peace treaty yet in action. The Federal Republic of Germany is still a foe, written down in the UN treaties and so forth. So it is not a sovereign state. So the whole European Union as such is actually an illegal construction, because it should be formed by sovereign states or sovereign nations. This is not the case, and lots of people have recognized this and basically put themselves into the same position as you mentioned this just now. And I think this is very important that we tell them clearly that we are not following their rules anymore, and that we are natural beings and beings from flesh and blood, flesh and blood. Yeah. Okay.
What language are you speaking?
Yeah, this is the we are Europeans and we are not Americans. So we are translating our languages occasionally into English. Although I think that Peter is doing a fantastic job here in English. Absolutely great. Do you speak French as well, Peter?
Yes, when I'm in the mood. When I'm in the mood. So I prefer yeah. And I'm getting in the mood, to be honest.
Yeah, you live now in the French speaking part of Belgium, so you have to at least get your baguette or something, in the morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, but they are very friendly, and there is no difficulty. There is only a political, artificial difficulty here, but on the level of the people, we are friendly to one to another. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't have a real government over quite some time. Is that true in
Oh,
Belgium?
yeah, but to be honest, Belgium is a non-country. It is artificial, like the European Union is artificial. So it has been constructed by the powers that be. So if it falls apart, I couldn't care less. So as long as we say, well, we are Europeans and you are Americans and we are Belgians and so on, we are still within the matrix. So we have to step out of it. And to say it clearly, because I also used, Karen, the word proclamation. That means to say it loud for everyone to hear. This is how I think. This is what I do. This is how I consider myself. Proclamate. Step out. Yeah.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And I
That's a good
know
one.
my husband reminded me too that I realized the 4th of July is not a European holiday, and it's pretty much of a deception, the holiday over here. We won't even get into how much pollution and everything goes out on that day. But it simply is a day where we have an opportunity to come together. And it's also why at United We Strike, we encourage the 15th. We figure that when we start dropping the profit, they'll really notice. So the 4th of July, actually globally, with the time difference, will even give us, 5 days, 6 days. If enough people do it, can you imagine rolling economic blackouts? You know, when we have enough money, it could be so powerful. And we've been trying now for 5 years. And there are some times when it's difficult to even think about turning on a computer or getting up or doing anything other than just trying to live my life as best I can, because the picture is so horrific. But I proclaim that I am spirit, you know, and I'm just here for a little while and I'm not going to be afraid.
Yeah, so we are heading towards our top of the hour break. Now maybe it's important again, so people can contact you, Peter, that you may you give us your website, please, and contact address.
I will do it via Skype. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how can people can look up the Belfort-Group, or what is your preferred way to look at the information you are giving to people?
Yeah, I will type it into the Skype area. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And in the meantime, maybe Melanie can give us again the websites to look up more information for your initiatives.
Yes, so the first one's the International Center Against Abuse of Cover Technologies, ICAACT.org, so ICAACT.org. And the second one's the organization that we've just created here in Europe, the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment, and it's EUCACH, so EUCACH.org.
Okay, that's wonderful. And Karen, how can we learn about your show, which you have on Fridays?
It's also on UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. You can go to Karen's Corner. I also have a blog on that page, and it's kind of a work in progress, the United We Strike Marathon. You can listen now. We do have a chat room as well, and we're doing this for you, folks. We're doing this for a better world, and I hope that you really will spread this archive around, let your friends know, and join us on the 4th of July as we strike for our own freedom.
Wonderful. Now, I just received the information here from Peter. It's the www.belfort-group.eu. That's the web address, and also the Belfort-Group.blogspot.be for Belgium. And his personal contact is Peter Vereecke, VEREECKE @hotmail.com. Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot, Peter. That's fantastic. Now we are heading to a break on top of the hour, and we will be back after the top of the hour with some more information, and we also have other people joining us then. So stay tuned, yeah, that's fine. No, Karen, if you like to, please stay on. So please stay tuned. And I think Lars is not able to come on. He just sent me a message that he has other obligations, so he cannot be live on here, but his show is coming up later on anyways. Okay. So thanks a lot. Stay tuned. This is Detlev of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV. I'm usually broadcasting in German on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. And there's always a rebroadcast of my German show. And we obviously have a YouTube channel. We have various YouTube channels. So also on UNITEDWESTRIKE.com website, you can have a look through all the information which is available there to all our partners as well. And you also find the program which is up for today. Just visit the page and go to the UWS Radio and Chat button on top. Click that one and scroll down a little, and you've got all the information you need for today's show. And you also can join into the chat over there, the UNITEDWESTRIKE.com chat. There's a login, and it's very easy to use. All right, so we will listen to Steve Phillips again on his Agenda 21 song. In the meantime, we will also get some other guests in there, so please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. Ask why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio.
When you
growth and human settlement. Alarm bells should be ringing, and action forthcoming. It's time to question everything about Agenda 21. Agenda 21. Agenda 21.
Join UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio on the second Saturday of every month for our live international radio marathon. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why.
Okay, this is Detlev here of Wake News Radio, Wake News TV here on our United We Strike Radio Marathon, May 11th, 2013. And, well, we are now in our, fifth hour of our today's show. So we started with a 2 hours in German program with Werner Altnickel, who is an experienced activist and journalist concerning chemtrails, HAARP, and he also reported about the European Conference on Chemtrails in the European Parliament, which took place in April. And in our English 2 hours, which we just are continuing now, we had a roundtable discussion here with several people from Europe, from Belgium, from Federal Republic of Germany, and I'm producing here out of Switzerland. We also had Karen Quinn-Tostado joining us in the last hour. So it's an interesting, roundtable discussion. We had the topics of poisoning our air, and obviously also the electronic terrorism which takes place. And I think we discussed this here during the break, that we should now focus a little bit on the issue of harassments, covert harassments, because we have Melanie here, Melanie Vritschan, from this newly formed group EUCACH and also ICAACT.org, who are specializing in informing and helping people who are being harassed by mind control weapons, by psychotronic weapons, who also are attacking the body and the mind. And let's see, Melanie, are you there?
Yes, hi Detlev, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. You've been part of the discussion already in the first 2 hours in English, but we would like to learn a little bit more about your personal experiences on this electronic harassment, which is covert. Not many people are aware of this, and also then everybody else joining this roundtable discussion is welcome to join in the discussion. So why don't you give us a little insight, maybe again about your main activities with UCACH and then your personal experiences.
Yeah, well, my main activities within UCACH, the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment, is that I'm the public relations and events manager, so kind of a spokesperson's role, and especially I organize the institutional contacts with the European Parliament and the other EU institutions. Regarding how I came to this group and what is my personal experience is that, I can only say that in 2008 I underwent surgery in the hospital with the general anesthetics, and very soon after that I noticed that there was foreign material coming out of my body, fibers, granules, seeds, different colors, very, very odd material, and I was very scared first. I didn't know what this was, and saw a lot of doctors. Nobody really could give me an answer. So I decided to do my own research, and I fell on an organization that is called Morgellons Research Group, especially somebody who's called Dr. Will Spencer, and also an American toxologist and doctor for integrative medicine, Dr. Hildegard Stenninger, who is also a specialist in nanotechnology, and, by the way, a chemtrail activist, because we just talked about chemtrails now before. So I read her report and came to the conclusion that I had been implanted with a technology that is commonly known as Morgellons, but the technical expression is smart dust, which is basically a technology that auto-assembles and auto-replicates within the human body and creates a complex system of wiring. And it's basically roboticizing the human being. So it took me a lot of time to actually understand what was going on, especially, as I said, I had no real help from the field at all. And one thing, Peter, who's here, can witness to this. One thing I then did is I went to the Leuven University Clinic to see a toxicologist here and asked him to analyze this material that came out of my skin under the microscope to find out what it was. I strongly suspected that this is what I had been implanted with. But so I asked him to do these analysis, and it was very difficult to actually get the results. I had to phone various times, and I asked Peter, because the gentleman was Flemish speaking, if he could help me also, and so he also tried to support me in actually getting these results. And what then came back was that it was indeed a synthetic material, an inorganic material that he took from my skin, that tried to analyze it under the microscope but couldn't. They had never seen anything like that. And they then decided to ship this material to a crime lab, basically. And there, we must unfortunately say that it disappeared. Or let's say it arrived in a state that it could not be analyzed anymore. So that was the end of the story. And I have since then really personally experienced that when you're victimized by such technology, there's really very little help, very little you can do. And at the beginning, people are sympathetic and they want to help you, and then there's a certain moment where doors close or somebody intervenes, and doctors, lawyers, nobody helps you anymore. So I came to the conclusion that if I wanted to do something about it, and also I got in contact with more and more victims of this, so I found out that I was not the only one. I mean, far from being the only one. Is that we basically had to unite and to create an organization and basically do this awareness raising work and informing the public about these outrageous crimes ourselves. And this is how I got into contact with Jesse Beltran from ICAACT and Lars Rutgert, because ICAACT was created for the reason that we offer radio frequency scans of people that do think that they're victimized by this technology, because if you're implanted by these kind of remote implanting technologies, I'm implanted with smart dust, but there are others, then your body is radio frequency, and that can be measured, and it's not normal for the human body to emit radio frequency. So this is what ICAACT does, and we have been scanning people in many cities in the United States, but also in Europe, especially in Germany, and also in the UK, in London. And the London scanning was where I personally took part. That was 2012 in April. And we had about 40 people, and about more than 50% people came up positive in the scanning. And the method is, because we want to provide these victims with evidence. This is the main objectives of ICAACT, is that people are scanned the first time. It's a preliminary scan, and the people that come up positive, we then ask them to provide us to help with medical imagery like MRI scans, CT scans, or digital panoramic X-rays, whatever, to see if at these anatomical focal points of the body where the person came out positive, we see something that we call an unidentified bright object, which is basically an implant, if we can find anything there, so to match that up. And the last step, where Peter Vereecke was also part of, is that we do the same in that what we did in the preliminary scan with the people that came up positive, also in a controlled environment, which is basically a Faraday cage. So last year, Peter and I, put a lot of effort in finding such a Faraday cage in Belgium. I think Peter can also be a witness to this, that was really not easy. As soon as the universities or the institutes we contacted understood what this was about, they didn't want to help us anymore. So, but finally we succeeded in finding one, under the condition that we wouldn't reveal where the location of this Faraday cage. And so we had about 15 people that came up positive in London, that came to Belgium, that we scanned in this Faraday cage again. And the result was that people, and we also had a control group, so people that are generally have none of the symptoms that are normally associated with electronic terrorism, because implant people without their knowledge and consent with nanotechnology or any kind of technology is really terrorism, to control them and to damage their health or even kill them. So there were people, Peter was also part of it, and some other that did not have any signs or symptoms of being a victim of electronic terrorism, that we scanned first. They came up negative, and there was nothing we could measure. And then we measured the group that came up positive in the preliminary scan, and they also had positive results within the Faraday cage. So I think everybody can, draw their own conclusion what that means, actually. So that was last October. And as time went by, we then decided that because our colleague from ICAACT, Lars Rutgart, who's doing the scanning, is basically the only only activist that deals with these issues in Europe. So this is, of course, a much too vast area for one person only. So it was very clear then that we needed to create a European organization, and that also the same thing that we just did in the European Parliament, that when basically finally there was the success that we could show this film, Why in the World Are Spraying, that we want to draw attention to this on the political level, on the EU institutions. And so we decided, we created this organization to lobby the EU institutions, and especially the European Parliament, to raise awareness for these issues, because we ultimately would like that there would be EU legislation created to protect the innocent citizens from this kind of horrendous abuses. So that's where we are now.
Melanie?
And, yes?
So in your opinion, out of the people who you have seen who have been scanned, what's the percentage of people who come up positive overall?
Well, I can only speak from the that we usually scan. The percentage is very high. I know that in London, where I was personally, we had 40 people, more than 50 were positive. That seems very high. I know that in America, the percentage is usually higher than in Europe, but in Europe it's still high, So what I thought was very interesting is that Jesse told me that they once scanned, I think, a group of local politicians and ex-military, I think, and these people they had like official functions, and they basically came to the scan just because they saw Jesse there and just wanted to know, I don't want to say they did it out of fun, but basically just, okay, let's participate. And there were local politicians, and all of them, 100% came up positive.
It's interesting. Well, I've spoken to people here who also say that with the Morgellons, with all the chemtrails, they're not only dropping it on our heads, we're swimming in it, and that each and every one of us is affected. And I know a few years ago, my husband and I coughed on a piece of tape and sent it to someone at the Carnicom Institute, who also sent us pictures back and said, yes, we're positive as well. So I know a great many people who are looking into this, and the further they dig, the more they become convinced that all of us now, if we go outside, if we breathe outside, that we have all been infected.
Yes, I can only say that within this report I read from Dr. Hildegard Stenninger, which I was very impressed with, because it totally reflected everything that I was personally witnessing, and all what the doctors told me, nothing made sense. They told me, well, it's either something parathetical, where we have the results came back, and it's clearly not. It's something synthetic. It's nothing biological I have been infected with or implanted with. And all of the other explanation didn't fit. Hers totally fitted. And what I thought was very interesting is that she had a few patients that she took, this material from their skin and looked under the microscope, and she also got sent samples from chemtrails that people found and sent to her for an analysis. And she compared this material, and it was basically the same. So the material matched. So I think then we can quite safely say that they're spraying this nanotechnology around and on us, and we breathe it in.
And yes, they're changing.
Yeah, Karen, go ahead.
Well, they're changing the formula. We can look up and see it now. I think earlier this year we began noticing how it's changing, how it will be the chemtrail that dissipates partially, and then you'll see another blob, and then it'll dissipate, and out of the same plane. And now also more kind of dotted lines, and it's something.
Now, I was wondering as well, Melanie, maybe you can give us some information on there. I mean, in your work, you definitely need a lot of support, not only by manpower, but also financially. How do you organize this? I mean, are you getting any donations, or do you just put your own money into this, or how do you organize this, basically?
Well, I mean, UCACH is so new, but you're right, Detlev, it's something we really need to think about, because what you need to know with these victims, that they usually, it affects their health so severely that they cannot work anymore. So, for example, in my case, which has never been the case before, I was victimized with this. I'm currently, on unemployment benefits, and that won't last forever either. And this is what I always see is that the victims, the first thing that gets destroyed is the victim gets isolated from friends and family, and the financial basis gets destroyed. So at the moment we're doing this, let's say, on a completely voluntary basis. We're not getting paid for anything, but what I thought about, and Henning Witte is registering at UCACH at the moment in Sweden, so it's going to be like a not-for-profit organization. But what I would like to do is, it's not going to be easy, but I know that there is they are the EU funding and assistance programs, so I don't know. There will probably not be huge programs available for this, especially what we're doing. But at one point, we will have to apply for funding, because to be able to do our work. I've also thought regarding the radio frequency scannings we do with ICAACT, they're totally free. We do not want to take any money for them because, I mean, the victims are poor, so this is like a service basically to them. But I thought, in order to do our lobbying work, I mean, I really do not want to ask for, the victims, especially a whole lot of money. It's not an idea like. But we'll probably have to create some kind of membership system where we'll ask them for a small contribution just to help us to do this lobbying work on their behalf, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is, in United We Strike, we also don't take any donations. We are all here in the voluntary task because we are not interested in getting into any collusion with interest. But it is very understandable that, everybody of us who's doing his work or her work needs support. And I also take donations from my listeners, for instance, but we separate this from United We Strike completely. But everybody who is organized in the United We Strike movement is obviously, doing his own thing, right? And I also would encourage people who are interested to support you to contact you. I mean, you've given out your contact information, and we need support everywhere where it is possible, right?
Yeah, that is true, and it's surely something we'll have to look very seriously at in the near future, because unfortunately, without the support, we cannot survive and we cannot do our work.
Yeah, so we are actually getting into the next segment soon, because we are now having sort of 30 minutes sections, but we have discussed with our next host that we will basically, go over into an open discussion with him as well, with Neil. And he has told us that he wants also to contribute to this topic and also bring in new stuff. And I think this is a good opportunity. So I'll ask you to stay on for the next half an hour, which is coming up after the break. So just for your information, right? Who wants to, right? If you have the time, please stay in. I hope Neil is in. He's d'accord with this, huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Melanie, just take the chance. We've got another 7-8 minutes to finalize your point of view.
Yes. My point of view is that, and I think that would be the same if I'm victimized with this technology or not, and I happen to be, but. It a little bit connects to what Werner was saying in the first show that you did in German, is that they have been telling us this for a long time. That is very clear that they have the plan to basically enslave the whole humanity with these technologies and take our freedoms away, and they're telling us exactly what they're doing. And if we don't wake up now and stand up for our rights and inform our brothers and sisters and say this is, we're not allowing this, then they will do exactly what they have planned. And they have told us for decades now that this is the game, this is the goal, and I think that even it was in the 60s already, Dr. Delgado stated publicly that a man does not have the right to have his own mind. So yeah. And that we're moving into a controlled society. And this is more technology based now, because they have developed these technologies for decades and they're very, very sophisticated. They have stated this for a long time, that this is what they're going to do, and they're precisely implementing what they told us that they would do. And it's 2 to 12, so to speak, to to put an end to this.
Yes, but the only thing they can actually achieve is maybe, bring changes to our body, but they will never really change our spirit, if we stand up against this. And we talked about this in other shows and other parts, that we can definitely do something, not only by, speaking out, but also to conditioning ourselves to fight this and to reach a higher level of consciousness, even further in a higher frequency, because this may help us to overcome this smart dust spraying or this influence on our mind and if you reject their influence, they cannot really reach you, can they?
Well, there are so many ways of healing, too, that we haven't talked about, but it brings me back to we can affect profit, and right now profit is their God. And if we do stand together, we've got these 4 days coming up in July, support mom and pop, shop locally, but pull your money out of these big multinational private corporations so that all of a sudden they're not just licking their chops and giving money to the bankers. This whole thing is based on fraud. And right now, currency is the largest fraud of all, that and the war that they're making money off of. So if we can stop money going to these corporations, these big 5 corporations who own everything, then we'll be able to be heard. We outnumber them. And when we can also demand that they release the hidden technology that the military-industrial complex has been working with since they stole it from Tesla. I think that they probably have 100 years of secrets ahead of us. So what we're talking about here, they're light years in front of us. But I also believe that the technology for healing is available too, when we can finally make our demands heard. And that's why we've got to play by their rules. If it's money, okay, you can't have my money. You cannot have my gun, although as Matt Navarro says, they can have his bullets one at a time.
Oh, dear. The New World Order report, right, from Matt Navarro, but we will listen to him later on. Is that correct?
Yes, he'll be on. And actually, I got to meet him yesterday. Al and I finally got to meet Matt, so it was nice. He's the first real United We Strike core member we've ever met in person, and it was pretty fun.
Wow, so you pre-recorded something for him?
No, we met him. He was driving back home, and we had an opportunity to actually meet face to face and sit down and talk for a few minutes, and it was very good. It was very good feeling to do. We've been speaking for about 5 years, so it was nice to put a face onto it.
Yeah, and we are millions already, so I'm not so worried about this. This New World Order bunch is actually losing. We had too many dark years, so dark ages, really. So there has to, some light has to come up here, really, back again. So, now we're entering the next section. I think we go into a quick break, and in this meantime, I will get Neil here into our show as well, and we will be listening here further on in our United We Strike Radio Marathon, May 11th, 2013, with fantastic hosts, of course, and guests coming up. And I'm thanking everybody, and who please stay on for the next section. And we are listening here now to the Boom Born Blues by Dano at danosounds.com after this, so stay tuned.
No lizards, no aliens, no nonsense. This is Reality Bites in association with Sovereign Independent UK and One World Chronicle.